weird and difficult dreams. I suppose the headline, at least, is they're not always as dark, weird, or difficult as they might appear at first pass.
Well, I've actually had people have really positive dreams, and it's actually been a difficult dream. God's actually been trying to say something to them in this dream, and they've woken up and gone, oh, that was a lovely dream. But when I've understood the interpretation of the dream, I thought, maybe that's not such, and sometimes God is very gentle in the way he disciplines us, and he just really has a lot of grace and patience with us. And so dark, weird and difficult dreams aren't always dark, weird and difficult. They can have a good meaning, and they can have a positive meaning. And sometimes, if you have a dream and you think it's positive, it could be just God's warning you of a thing. So it's always good to know how to interpret dreams and understand what God's saying through them. Right, so tell me a bit about a dark, weird and difficult dream. What would you define as a dark, weird and difficult dream?
Okay, so this is a little bit of a recap on what we covered last time. Dark and difficult dreams, typically you'll know them because when you wake up in the morning, you'll talk about your dream even to yourself and go, oh wow, that was like a really difficult dream. That would be one of the first things you say to yourself about it.
Or I would wake up and go, that was weird.
That was weird. Or if you think about talking about it, you'll be going like, oh, I just had the weirdest dream, or oh man, I didn't really like that dream very much. It wasn't a very good experience. It's quite your initial emotional response when you start thinking about the dream is probably quite negative because there's something disturbing about it. It also may manifest as like, I don't want to write this down. So if you are practiced in journaling your dreams and you value your dreams, there's an inertia and a resistance to even want to engage with this dream. I remember when I first started having dreams that were more like this, I would have to struggle to speak to you about it. And certainly when I even wanted to think about writing it down in my phone app, I just would want to go and find something else to do, basically. In some cases, you can even wake up with a headache after a dream, and that's a sign that it's quite a dark, weird, and difficult dream.
Or with foggy brain.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wake up with foggy brain. Often that's a spiritual attack that's come up against you. So that's waking up with a headache or foggy brain could speak about something spiritual that has tried to, come in the night and attack.
Yeah, that's that. No, absolutely, that's right. When you wake up with a headache or feeling a bit listless and disoriented, that's often a sign of a spiritual attack in the dream. And waking up with a bolt that bang straight upright and feeling quite shocked when you wake up from the dream is another sign that this could be a dark, weird, and difficult dream. So that's kind of how I would identify this category of dream.
But a lot of people would say, oh, it's because I had too much pizza last night. But sometimes it could be related to stuff that's happened the night before. But you don't want to definitely go, well, that was a dark, weird, or difficult dream. It wasn't from God, because we see in the Bible Nebuchadnezzar had that weird, difficult dream. He's had a few, and the one with the tree being chopped down, where he goes into a period of traveling on he used to go on all fours, didn't he? He ends up on all fours because of pride and arrogance. He ends up having to, at the end of it, confess that the God of Daniel is God of all the earth, and that was a difficult dream. And Daniel interpreted it for him. Abraham had that difficult dream where it speaks about him, a dark terror fell over him when he was having the dream. Daniel had several dreams like that. He was the king of all the difficult dreams and having difficult visions. Even in the one vision he loses all his strength, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just collapses on the floor, doesn't he?
So these can be very powerful dreams. They're not to be discarded. They're definitely something you should write down and steward it correctly.
Heather's just said there, I'll just quickly speak to that one. I've had 3 difficult dreams in the last 3 nights, so I'm not aware of being upset about anything. It can be that, we were just talking about Daniel, that it's what you're seeing in the dream is a difficult situation. I mean, it could be like just a situation that's difficult. It's not personally upsetting to you, but it may be something God's showing you that's just difficult, that's in the world or your world.
Sophie had a dream like that recently, didn't she? She dreamt, we're going to talk about this a bit later, but she was actually going through a tough time here in the UK. And in Kent especially, we have our secondary school system is a bit weird.
Dark, weird and difficult.
It is dark, weird and difficult. And a lot of the UK doesn't have the Kent, well, we call it the Kent test, which is a grammar test. And here in Kent, unfortunately, our young people get streamed. And so she was going through a period, we were having to look at schools, and she was struggling to know, we hadn't even had the results yet.
Yeah.
And she was struggling to know, like we were visiting schools, comprehensive and grammar schools, but you can't even choose them. So you can't work out whether or not you're going to be in a grammar school or if you're going to be in a comprehensive school, and you can't make the choice until you get your results. And she'd had a dream where she was in an area and there was this weird looking wasp creature that she didn't know what it was, but she said it was a wasp. Obviously it had a sting, but she said it had wings that were very prickly, and this thing came up and prickled her fingers so that her thumbs swelled up.
Yes, that's right. It didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt.
But they swelled right up.
So
and this thing was chasing her around, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was that period she was just going through, and she was trying to work out. I suppose some people would call it a soul dream in a sense, but in her sense, she was trying to work out, what do I do here? You can't, and she was struggling to get a grasp of the situation.
That's right.
And so her thumbs had swelled up, and obviously when you have a swelled thumb, you can't really pick anything up or grasp anything. So it was a difficult dream. She woke up and she said, I had a really weird dream. Can I tell you about it? And she has very detailed dreams because she's young. And so we had to help her unpick the dream, and we had to say, well, it is difficult. So we understand that you're finding it difficult to grasp the situation. How do you choose what secondary school you go to when you don't know your results? And she did pass in the end, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, and she had a good choice. But I think it's also about the managing the emotions of it, and the wanting to go, but not being able to go. Well, I know I can go, and I can't. I have to make a choice, but I don't know that I can make the choice. And emotionally, it's quite difficult. But it's actually quite a good dream. It was just showing her that this thing was chasing her around, but she couldn't quite get a grip on things. But we knew a time would come when she could, and we just had to kind of keep doing what we were doing.
Yeah,
didn't we?
And I think she had to come to terms with the fact that it was a difficult situation, and it was very difficult to work out what she was going to do, but that it was okay, and we would just pray with her and say, and pray for peace. And I suppose that's always the response, is if you have a dark, weird and difficult dream, the response is to either just to pray and take it back to God and say, what are you trying to say, what are you trying to do, and what do I do in this context?